Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Wisdom from a 22-year-old black woman. Yeah, this is interesting, and like I said, I don't even discuss what I do during the day with even people who talk with me. I think maybe a few people, really close people, really know what I'm doing. And that's just because too many y'all Bamas out there trying to dox a brother. So, and don't trust me, from what I used to do, I know exactly who's trying to come at me. Okay, so I'll just let you know. So anyway, right? So I'm out and about doing what I do. And I got a lot of youngins for friends, a lot of young females. And they tell me what's up. They tell me what's up. Some of y'all young people act like y'all ain't reinventing the wheel and shit, but really you're not. Because the youngins are telling me what's going on. And I'm like, well, damn, we were going through that same shit in the 70s. There's nothing new under the sun. But I digress. But anyway, right? Me and her were talking. We're talking about relationships, right? And just to let you know about this young girl, right? She's the bomb. Like, if I was younger, I'd be trying to wife her. Seriously. If I was younger. Because, she the type, if my son would have bring home somebody like her, well, I was like, damn, yeah, dude, be high-fiving them and stuff. Really sensible young lady, really sensible. And we were talking, right? And she was talking about how foolish it is for people to choose a mate just on looks or what kind of car they driving or their material stuff. Now, this is a 22-year-old. Now, even though she knows I do videos, she knows I got books, she hasn't read any of them. And, she ain't, as far as I know, she hasn't checked out any of my videos. But knowing her as long as I have, very sensible, very sensible. One, she was raised up and given the game by her father, grandfather, uncles, brothers, everything. I mean, she said they sat her down and they were like, nah, they told her what's up. And she's a woman. I would just say this for all the brothers out there think women just going for thugs. This woman, a thug couldn't get near. Now, one, because I told her if I ever catch her with a thug, I'll whip her ass. And the thug's ass. And, call her fathers and grandfathers and uncles and stuff to help me. I hold them down and say, y'all get this motherfucker. Nah, but she wouldn't do that anyway. But she was just talking and she said, think about looks, they fade, cars. You can lose all that, but it's character. And I was impressed because I've written down before, and I don't know if I said it in a video, but I've literally talked to thousands of women in my life. Literally. When I say literally, and somebody say, how is that? Remember, just from what I've done. I mean, I've worked in sales. I've done a lot of seminars. I've sold, even just selling my book. I've had a lot of conversations with some women about what they want from a man. I can count on one hand, how many women have said character. And that's without prompting. Because usually if I bring it up, I'll say, character, yeah. Well, it's like, no, the first thing you want to know was how tall he was, how cute he was, and what he did for a living. You didn't care about character. So that would impress me enough when she said that. Because she said, like, a lot of these women be bringing some, like, dudes and a bunch of kids or a bunch of dudes around their kids and stuff just because the dude look good and they don't know if the dude's crazy. They ain't checked the character. Or she was like, yeah, they messing with these dudes because they got a nice car or something, a nice job, and they don't know that person can be evil. And, and I knew this stuff anyway, but, if a young person especially is saying some stuff, I'm going to sit there like I'm hearing it for the first time. Because it brings a smile to my face. Especially when a young person shows some wisdom. And especially young black girls. But here's a funny thing with that, too. one thing I've noticed, because I've known some other young ladies who were the same way. They always had one thing in common. Their fathers were in their lives, and their fathers gave them the game, like the real game. Because that's one thing I said, even about some players. That's one thing. I think I told one of my dear female commentators about, because she had said she had, grew up with a bunch of fathers and stuff who were, older men who were in the game and everything, and they schooled her. Players, when they have daughters, ain't nobody getting at them. Players will not let any, they as soon as they get, that's what changed them up. If anything changed them up, they get a baby girl, they be like, hold up, oh hell no. They shoot. They come to Jesus, Allah, and the Great Pumpkin. I mean, shoot. They would be like, no. So I peeped that. When you got some dudes out there, they got that baby girl, and she usually got them wrapped around her finger anyway. They don't play that. Well, this dude I know who was really out there in college, that dude got some baby girls now. They the shit. I feel sorry for some dudes trying to get at them. Those dudes, they probably get a credit report run on them and background check. Federal level stuff. Had the FBI looking into them and whatnot. But getting back to this young girl, I mean, she had some wisdom, and she was right though. She was right. It was stuff I would say, and she said something else too, and I was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, girl, go ahead." And I was looking at her, I was saying, "Well, yeah, unfortunately, she's a little bit too old for my oldest," but she said, people have to think 15 years ahead. It's like, yeah, you gotta think, what's this person gonna be like 15 years from now? Because so many people into the moment, but they ain't thinking, well, what's this person's plan? Especially women. And, y'all know, women listening, y'all know. Y'all get with that dude because you got that car right there, he's spending some money, or, he's 6'2" or something muscular. And you ain't thinking long term, but see, once you miss that period or something, or you catch some feelings, and then you find out you dealing with an asshole, then you just like, you short. You ain't thinking. And let me not leave the men out. Fellas, don't be thinking, like, we're not as bad. Let's be real. We're not as bad, but we know. We know there's many of y'all, and I've said this in a video before, and I will maintain this. There's many of y'all getting your checks garnished now, sitting in a family court, going through all types of drama because she had a fat ass. Y'all know it. Y'all know if you even now you got guys who see some woman on one of these social media sites with pictures and stuff talking about wife her. Motherfucker, you don't know what she about. So let's on this issue, don't act like it's just the women. Like I said, we're a little bit better because we're the ones who got it. We face the consequences more severely, so we're better. We're a little bit better, but not that much better. Let's just keep it 100. Let me keep it 150. We see that fat ass, but she had a point. You gotta think ahead. You gotta think ahead whenever you're dealing with anybody, right? So that's some real stuff. I mean, I'm gonna leave that out. And I was about to do some personal stuff, but then I gotta remember the way y'all are out here. Y'all be getting all up in this person's business, and I'm like, nah, let me stop that. But that's the thing, and I'm gonna tell you what. This is a personal thing I will share. I don't have any real issues, like anything out there. Like I said in a previous video, I got two kids and a maybe. And people say, wait, a maybe wrong? It's like, well, one woman out there is unaccounted for. Usually after I've had sex with a woman, I've usually kept up with them enough to see them, like, to at least know they don't have any kids or something. There's one unaccounted for. It is what it is. And It is what it is. That's all I gotta say. Right? So I got 2 kids and a maybe. So, but for the most part, when I would deal with women, I always thought long term with them. Like, that's really why, at worst, I have a maybe. At worst, I've never had to get a shot for anything because I always look long term, and even women I had sex with, and for somebody who's had, shall we say, a lot of sex, I was very careful with the women because I always look long term because I would always look at her and say, okay, this woman have a baby, or would she try to get pregnant? Would she be a problem? And I can honestly say there's a whole lot of women I've dealt with in the past. I'd say 95% of them still cool. I can call them up, hang out, whatever right now. Because I always thought long term with women. And that's one thing for the fellas out there. For the women, I got a lot of women who listen. Y'all gotta think long term. You know, and don't think long term in terms of like you gonna change that man. You gotta look at him as he is and see where he going on his own. Because you're not gonna change him any damn way. Like, that's something. I need to do a video on that. Women be trying to take some challenge thing. I'm gonna change that man. You ain't gonna change it. If his mother couldn't change his ass, you ain't gonna do it. So let's just get that straight. But you gotta think long term where that guy going. Because a lot of women get in trouble because too many women. I used to, and I'm gonna be honest with you. And I might have said this in Nice Guys and Players, but I'm a person. I will say when I've changed my mind on something. And I used to think women used to think long term better, and that's one thing I've seen. You know, I think I was just dealing with some like smart women or grown women since I tended to like prefer to be around them. But most women ain't thinking long term. They thinking in that moment. You know, and so women need to change that, and especially men. That's just not just a message for the women. Men too. You gotta think, yeah, she got a fat ass and everything, or big breastises, or whatever the fuck you like. But you gotta think, all right, because what I would used to think is, okay, if I got this woman pregnant, could I deal with her ass for 18 years? Because it wasn't a question of taking care of the child, but it was like, could I deal with this woman in my life for 18 years at least? And really longer than that, because 18 years, that's just a child support period. But if you're gonna be a real parent, that's your child for life. And you're like, and there's some women I met and I look at them, I'll say, oh nah, hell no, I don't want to slip up. I mean, that's just how it is. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share that wisdom. And you know what, one of the reasons I want to share it is especially for the younger brothers out there. Because I got a lot of young brothers who, you know, they calling me Uncle Rom. They're getting some wisdom, like in their 20s. There's some sisters out there, man. There really is some good sisters. I mean, look for some sisters who had a strong father. Or even a father figure. That's the main thing. That's the common denominator I've seen. If they got a strong father, they're going to have at least a little bit of sense. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be perfect or anything, but they're going to have a better respect for what you bring into the table. You know, so make sure, you know, they out there. I mean, I know quite a few. In fact, if I can get these young girls together, have like some parties or something, get some of y'all young folks together and stuff, you know, start something new. But these women, you know, they out there. And like I've said in other videos, stop worrying about the knuckleheads. You, like my young friend, they very sensible. And, you know, if y'all want to get at her, y'all got to come through her Uncle Ron. So, just letting you know. Yo, man. I mean, that's just how it is. Oh, man. You know, I'm in this with a story real quick. I remember I was working on this job, right? And it was an older brother on there. And he, you know, I was in his office. We were chopping it up. I looked on his desk. He had a picture of his daughter. And she was fine. And I looked at her. I was like, damn, who's this, man? And he looked at me. He said, that's my daughter, man. Right? And I was like, nah, all right, bro. I don't mean any disrespect and everything. He was like, nah, young blood, that's okay. See, my job is to keep you away from her. Your job is to get around me. If you can get around me, hey, you can do whatever. But you ain't gonna get around me. But if you can, I'm gonna shake your hand and you can have your way with it. He was good because I ain't never get around that Bama. So anyway, that's it for today. For y'all young guys, yeah, you got some good ones out there still. Yeah, they ain't everyone, but they out there. Look for those quality ones, all right? And some of them got some sense because they were raised up by some strong men. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Peace.